Welcome to the first service at Morgan Mill Baptist Church. We had a technical problem, so we're going to go through the whole thing again. In Luke chapter 22, verse 24, we're looking at our series of Where in the Bible in the Upper Room. Now, last week we were looking at the context of the upper room. This week we'll see some more of the Lord's discourse in the upper room. Luke 22, there in verse 20. And in the same way he took the cup after they had eaten, saying, This cup which is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. We covered last week that this is Passover, and the Lord goes to the cross at Passover. It's indicated by the blood of the Lamb, specifically indicated in the New Testament. 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter there in verse 7. Christ himself is our Passover. We'll cover more about this next week, but in the text today, now the Lord gives warning words to the disciples. They didn't know everything that was going to happen, but the Lord did warn them as best as they could understand from a human perspective. Verse 21. But behold, the hand of the one betraying me is with mine on the table. For indeed the Son of Man is going as it has been determined. God is on his throne. But woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. And they began to discuss among themselves which one of them it might be who was going to do this thing. Before we get to how the disciples then went in a wrong direction, the question comes up, did Judas have a choice? Yes, indeed, Judas had many choices. The background of this is Passover, so let us compare it to the Passover passages in the Old Testament. Did Pharaoh have a choice? Yes, he did. If you'll notice the passages in the Old Testament, yes, it does indicate that God hardened Pharaoh's heart for timing purposes. God is in charge, and these things have to happen exactly when, particularly with prophecy, when they have been prophesied, as the Lord going to the cross at Passover. But notice in the passages of the Old Testament that Pharaoh hardened his own heart. Pharaoh had a choice. Judas had a choice. Yet God was still in control. Now, many philosophers denying the existence of God will say, in a similar way to Jean-Paul Sartre, that if God exists, then man cannot be free. This is not true. Beware of false dichotomies. Such things exist that are truly antinomies. Two things that appear to be contradictory, but both of them are true. You see, God's ways are higher than our ways, and some of these things are hard for us to understand, but not for God. It is true, Pharaoh had choices, Judas had choices, as does everyone else. But God is always and will always be on his throne. He is a sovereign God. Jesus indicates a betrayer, and Judas, after his own sinful, selfish choices, then it got to the point that Satan himself possessed him. The Lord warns the disciples about this betrayal, and then they go an entirely different direction. Have you ever been teaching a Sunday school class, a Bible class, or presenting a sermon, and everyone sort of got off to a wrong direction from the passage? Well, it definitely happened with the Lord, so let us be patient with each other, for he was certainly patient with the disciples, and he's patient with us today. We'll see how the disciples went off the rails in a wrong direction after the Lord warned them of the upcoming betrayal. We'll see what happens next in Luke 22 in part 2 of today's Bible study next.